Welcome in everybody to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joe Pisapia, and this is BP NFL. It's time to look ahead to the wild card weekend, and what a wild weekend it's going to be. To help me break down the games, of course, my two buds, Andrew Erickson, the Undertaker, and Terrell Furman Jr. They've got some feelings about the games, and as recording this too, we are anticipating the potential of that Vikings game moving potentially to Phoenix. That's been the rumors here bandied about this morning, and I don't know about you guys, but Terrell, to me, that feels like a win potentially for the Vikings, not so much for the neutral field, but also for all the chaos, when you're dealing with your families and your friends that are out there and trying to get everybody together, everybody okay in that LA area. And again, our hearts go out to everybody out there. It's some devastation out there. It's a terrible situation that I don't think anyone's mind in that group is going to be on football like it normally would be. And I think that could be a problem in this game.
Yeah, it definitely could. I think that I am in the minority of, I like chaos. And I think that this could actually be a little bit more of a get up spot for the Rams. We'll talk
Okay.
about it a little
Oh, there's
later.
something.
But I mean, for a team who doesn't have a home field to go to another state and then automatically have a home field, because I mean, I hate to say it, but everybody in Los Angeles might as well just go to Phoenix and go to the game and get away from the fires. Like it would just go to Phoenix and go to the game. And so that's a possibility. Minnesota, maybe you made a flight to LA and you're not trying to make this reschedule over there to Phoenix. Like maybe some of the Minnesota fans drop off here. So it could go either way here.
Yeah, look, the Vikings are traveling no matter what. They're getting on a plane, whether it's to Los Angeles or to Phoenix. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. Andrew, break the tie here. Who do you think this potential move, if it does indeed happen, favors potentially? Does it work in the Vikings' favor? Does the line move? And if so, what does it move to?
I think it moves in the favor of the Vikings. I think it probably moves to Vikings -3 because now you're taking away, home field advantage that I think I'm not saying it's right because the Rams don't really have a lot of home field advantage, but I think the market's going to overvalue the fact that, now they're not playing at home. Now the home team has to travel in some capacity. And if things are weighing on their minds, again, they're not the only LA team that's playing this weekend though. There's the Los Angeles Chargers who are also playing this weekend. They're playing on the road, so they're getting away from what's going on. But again, just some things are bigger than football right now with some of these teams, especially with the two LA teams in. So we'll see how it affects them. But at the end of the day, like these are our professionals, right? Like their job is to go out and win football games. So
Yeah, they're also people too.
Yep.
But that's the hard part.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
It's a tough spot there. All right. Let's look ahead to the best bets here. And don't forget, we're going to be live here on the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because at 4:15 on Saturday afternoon, Scott Bogman and myself will be breaking down in-game live betting right here on Betting Pros of the Houston Texans Chargers game. So we're going to give you our best bets as we go through, as the game unfolds, some opportunities there. And if you're looking for a second screen experience, we're going to be that for you. Just want to hang out with your friends, watch a little football? Well, guess what? We're the two best friends anybody could have. So hang out with myself, Scott Bogman, again, 4:15 Eastern, right here on the Betting Pros channel. Stick with us. We're going to take you through the first half of that game together as one. All right, let's get to that game too and get the guys' feelings on this. Terrell, let's start with you. Houston Chargers. Houston so far, kind of not looking as sharp as they did last season. Not quite the same offense, not quite the same offensive line play either. So what's your take on this game? How are you approaching it?
Yeah, it's a lot of the offensive line and CJ Stroud and not being trusting of each other. The offensive line hasn't done a good job protecting them in the times that he has gotten protection. CJ Stroud has rushed the football because he's felt the heat and he's starting to really, really feel that rookie flow that he should have felt last year, but everything and all the stars aligned that he had a really, really good season. Now the sophomore slump is coming in because the offensive line play isn't there. He's been rushing the football, turning the football over. This is all properties that we've talked about with CJ Stroud over the course of the year and this Texans offense. Whereas on the other side of the ball, Harbaugh just does enough. Yeah, can they put up points sometimes? Yeah, maybe. Does Justin Herbert look above average at times? Yeah. Is there times that he doesn't look that good? Yeah. But what is for certain? This defense is going to be really good. They're going to go out there. They're going to put forth their best effort. I think the Houston Texans defense is going to be live here at home as well. They play a lot better at home as opposed to on the road. I think this is an under game, under 42.5. I don't see a lot of points here scored. I think it's a lot of 3 and outs. So maybe some long drives that end in field goals. Fairburn and Dicker, two really good kickers over the course of the season. So I think that that's how this ends. I'm playing kicking props, and I like the under in this game.
All right, Andrew Erickson, we've talked about this game all week, you and I. Monday, Wednesday, now here on Thursday. So where have you landed as your favorite approach to it?
I still like the Chargers. I do agree that with Terrell, the under is definitely the play on the points total. Look, Rashawn Slater, he was questionable entering the week. He's been practicing in full, so I'm not concerned about the Chargers offensive line against the Texans pass rush. We know that they have one of the best pass rushes in the NFL. It's part of the best reasons why they've been so good on defense, but the Chargers offensive line is really good, and the two starting tackles should be ready to go. So I think they'll be able to give Justin Herbert enough time to do enough to win this game. Again, it's Chargers -2.5, -3. So I like them to win by a field goal. And I'm just kind of looking at the two teams' body of work this year. The Chargers cover the spread their last 5 road games, 9 of their last 11 games overall. And then we look at the Texans and CJ Stroud. Stroud is 8-3 all time in the AFC South, 11-10 against every other opponent. So yeah, he looks good when he beats up on the AFC South teams that are all terrible. But then when he plays anyone that's not an AFC South, that's not a Jaguar, that's not a Colt, that's not a Titan, he's a 500 level quarterback. So I think Herbert's better than Stroud. I think the coaching, it favors the Chargers here. And if anyone is going to get the focus back on football, it's Harbaugh. Like, I just think that he's done such an excellent job. He's a great football coach at the college level, at the NFL level. He does it all. And the Texans I feel like this is going to be a summarization of their entire season. You look at what they've done, home underdogs on the money line, last 2 seasons under Stroud, 2-4. Like, they don't win when they're underdogs. Imagine if this was being played in Los Angeles without any consideration for what would the spread be, right? The Texans are getting credit here because, they're playing at home. We have to make it a field goal game. When you look at it from a neutral field perspective, I think this would be closer to Chargers like 4.5. Because I think that they're just the better team here. So given that the Texans were one of the only 2 teams that the Titans covered against this year, who put up historically one of the worst records against the spread at 2-15 under Bill Callahan, I think that I'm just going to roll with the Chargers here. They've been better all year, and I think we're going to see that on Wild Card Weekend.
All right, so we will take a look forward to the next game on our list here, Saturday as well. The Steelers, 9.5-point favorites right now. Everybody knows what I think about this. If you're watching the live streams this week, I think that the confidence boost of the last time these two teams faced each other, I don't care if George Pickens is back, I think the Steelers are just a fraud, and they're limping in, and it's going to be another disappointment. Now, 9.5 is a lot. That is an ass kicking. That's a one-sided game, and I know Zay Flowers most likely unavailable as of recording this. That hurts as well. But Terrell Furman, here we go again. Last time you said hold on, wait. Last time you said they were going to cover against Baltimore, I said they would not. They did not. So you can give me, fourth quarter it opened up, all this stuff. The score is the score is the score. So why is this score going to be different than the last time?
Because if you bet Baltimore laying this amount of points, or even the amount of points that they were laying the last time, you would be homeless on the streets. Like the 1-800 gambler number that they out there and they put out there for people, that would be for you if you were to continuously bet this spread in the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers games. These games do not happen like that. Of course, there's always the anomaly. Yes, TJ Watt didn't have a sack in that game. He normally gets sacks against Baltimore. You didn't have George Pickens. Now we're sitting here. You're telling me in a game that George Pickens is playing and now Zay Flowers is not playing and the spread is 2.5 points more than what it was? Yeah, all right. I'll take my chances. I like Tomlin. Tomlin is a dog. We talked about this plenty enough. I don't have to go through the handicap too much. Everybody knows why we're betting Tomlin in this spot. This is way too many points for a Steelers and a Ravens game, especially a Steelers-Ravens playoff game. And I would love for anybody in the comments to come in here and be like, the Steelers offense is so bad. This is the same Steelers offense that got a win against this team without scoring a touchdown. So if there's anybody that could go play the Ravens and win without scoring a touchdown, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine taking the spread here. There's nothing to talk about.
All right, nothing to talk about. Andrew, if there's nothing to talk about, do you have anything to say?
I do have a couple things to say. I won't get into the Mike Tomlin, underdog, etc., because we know that those are the favorable trends that definitely back the point of taking the Steelers at plus 9.5. So I won't dive into that. But I'm just looking at the teams that are being played in this matchup. I get the Steelers are being disrespected, maybe rightfully so, because of how bad their offense has been, how bad their team has been the last couple weeks. But the team that they're trotting out is not the same team that they played the Ravens in Week 16. We talked about Pickens. He didn't play in that game. Zay Flowers is not going to play for the Ravens. He was the leading receiver for the Baltimore Ravens in that game. So you're taking away the number one wide receiver when Lamar Jackson exercises demons against the Steelers. Well, now he doesn't have his number one weapon. Deshaun Elliott, safety for the Steelers, didn't play. Defensive tackle, Larry Ogunjobi, didn't play. Cornerback, Dante Jackson, didn't play. TJ Watt, Furman mentioned it, didn't have a sack. He was nursing an ankle injury before this game. It's a completely different team that's going out for the Steelers. And now you're getting more points with them when that line was -7 for the Ravens at home. Look, anything can happen. It's the playoffs, but the value here is so clearly on Pittsburgh plus 9.5 that's why it's my best bet. It's my best bet this week is Steelers plus 9.5. So I think the process is sound here going after Pittsburgh because I think that this number is just totally off. It's just totally off because it's not the same teams that are playing from that week 16 matchup. And I know you don't want to talk about what happened in that game, Joe, because you look at the final score, it was 34-17, but the Steelers were going to go up 14. Yeah, the Steelers were going to go up 14.
Russell Wilson make bad decisions.
He fumbled the ball at the 7-yard line, and they were going to go up 14-7. The Ravens fumbled the ball 3 times. They recovered each one.
Yeah, and they won't do that again. They won't do that again.
Exactly.
The Ravens exercised the demons. They got the monkey off their back. 29-13. That's your final score for the Ravens game. I'm telling you right now. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. We'll come back next week.
Are you betting this? Like, are you actually?
Yeah,
betting?
you know
are
what?
You actually,
just like last week.
Just
like last week, I'm gonna spite bet you again, and I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna make.
Didn't the Steelers cover though? Technically,
the Steelers
they did. So that's what I'm saying.
I
bet
the Bengals on the money line, so I won money on it. So that's where it was. But that's all right. We're having fun here on the program. That's what it's supposed to be. And if you want to have more fun with the rest of us and our community, make sure you go over to our Discord, bettingpros.com/chat. It's the place to be for picks, for some insights, and it's a fantastic community of people who are really engaged in the betting space. So if you're new or you are somebody that's a grizzled veteran when it comes to the betting world, you want to join our Discord, again, bettingpros.com/chat. It's free, it's fun, and we do a lot of Q&As. You get Matt Peralta on there doing picks. It's a great time to be joining to, especially with all the football playoffs rolling around. All right, let's get to the next one here. Denver Broncos. 8.5, 9 in some markets here as they travel to Buffalo. This is the one where, the Denver Broncos, nobody's giving them a lot of, I don't think they're giving them enough credit. It's a good defensive team. They get after the quarterbacks. Surtain's a great player. Bo Nix has played above his head. They're playing with house money, which makes them dangerous, but I have a hard time believing that Bo Nix as a rookie quarterback is going to go into Buffalo and unseat Josh Allen. That being said, it is a big number. So I assume when you see that big number, Terrell, that's where you're going. You're going to be on the Broncos side of this.
Yeah, I do. And I mean, I think that there's a very real conversation about the Bills that I think needs to be had in this game because I think that they're 100% looking ahead to the Chiefs. 100%. 100% looking ahead. They're like, yo,
that's also a good point.
We just want to limp across these playoffs. We just want to exercise our demons against Kansas City and once we beat Kansas City, we feel good about the rest of our chances going forward. But at the end of the day, when this Bills team has played teams of similar caliber, they've been kind of 500. Actually, in fact, they're 2-3 against playoff teams this season. Playoff teams that are in playoffs this season, they're 2-3. And so, I mean, they haven't beaten any of those teams by this margin. They have one of the, what is that, minus 15 points margin against playoff teams this season. Denver has +3. Bo Nix has been really well. I don't think that they're going to do anything different just because they're in the playoffs. I think Sean Payton is going to coddle Bo Nix, make sure that this is a very safe game plan, that he doesn't put the ball in harm's way, and they're going to lean on him on the ground. And as a rusher, I would take Bo Nix rushing yards in this game. I think as a rookie in a playoff game, he's going to be running for his life, trying to extend plays and make plays work. So, yeah, I think that the Broncos are going to do enough here to cover the spread. And I'm telling you, I mean, I've been seeing, I don't know if you guys have been seeing it, but they have really been spamming the Tim Tebow versus Steelers playoff game footage for the entire week. I swear I've seen it every single day. And I don't know if that's just like the X and Elon trying to put something in my head to bet Broncos, bet Broncos, bet Broncos. But I'm just saying, they've been spamming that footage all week, and it's in my head. Give me the Broncos +8.5, and I'll take them on the money line as well. Because, man, if this Josh Allen and this team doesn't underperform here, like I could see it. I could see it. And this, you have to get creative in Wild Card Weekend because dogs do well. And every single year, everybody's always, quote unquote, surprised by something happening. Last year was Jordan Love beating Cowboys. No idea why that was surprising, but for a lot of people, that was surprising. Like, I think that this could be something that's surprising because I really do think that Bo Nix and this offense look really well.
Fun fact: the only Denver Broncos quarterback ever to be drafted by the Broncos to win a playoff game is Tim Tebow. Fun fact, everybody. Not John Elway, because remember, he was drafted by the Colts back in the day, and then that trade happened. So there you go. Maybe Bo Nix will be number 2. We shall
And then
see. We
also
shall
Peyton
see.
Manning coming over from the Colts
Peyton
too.
Manning
How about
coming
that?
over. That's right. So yeah, Denver Broncos. Sometimes they haven't really hit on the quarterback a lot in the last couple of years, especially since Peyton Manning.
Are you
has
telling me
not around.
Kyle Orton never won? Did he even get drafted by the Broncos?
I was gonna say I don't think he got drafted by the Broncos, but I have to go back and look. I don't recall.
Wait, didn't they have
Brock Osweiler?
Brock-
Brock Osweiler. He didn't play one of those playoff games.
win a playoff game? I think that was the key. Was win.
Well, he was on the team. He just didn't start.
All right, let's get to your take on this one here. Denver Buffalo. The total for this one is 46.5. Andrew, what side do you want to be in?
For the record, I do like the Bills here to cover the spread, but my best bet in this game is the over. I like the over 46.5 points. Buffalo scored 30 points in 9 of their last 10 games with their starters. I think that this offense is a juggernaut. I think they can win in a bunch of different ways. You look at what the Broncos can do defensively. Patrick Surtain, going to win Defensive Player of the Year. He's going to shut down the number 1 wide receiver. Who's the number 1 wide receiver for the Bills? Okay, take Amari Cooper away. Like, take him. Like, we'll be fine. So I think that really plays into Buffalo's advantage because they're not so dependent on one guy. They can win in so many different ways, whether it's Josh Allen's legs, James Cook, Khalil Shakir in the slot, the 2 tight ends, running the ball. So I think that hurts Denver's defense here. And we've seen when Denver's had to play playoff teams, they've put up points against this defense. So I think that the Bills are going to put up 30 here, 7-1 towards the over at home this season. Games have averaged over 50 points. And when you look at the games where the Broncos' last 6 games, 5 of them have gone over the points total. And we look at when Denver has failed to cover the spread against playoff teams, when they face the Ravens, when they face the Chargers twice this season, those games all went over the total, averaging 50 points per game.
But they did cover 8.5. They might not have covered the spread, but they covered 8.5.
I mean, they still don't cover, so.
But I'm saying they might not have covered 3. They might not have covered 3, but this is 8.5. This is different.
Well, those are divisional games. A lot of those were the Chargers were divisional games. They didn't cover against the Ravens. No, they did not. So
yeah. Well,
no. What was
it was not 8.5 points. Yeah. They got blown out.
It was 9. Yeah, it was 9. But the Ravens are different.
I mean,
the Ravens blew out the Bills. I don't know. I think this is a closer. I think this is a closer than normal game, and I would be very interested to see what is the response by the by the Bills offense if this Denver defense does begin to lock things down early on. If they have to play a grinded out game and this isn't a shootout type of game, what does the Bills offense look like then? I'm very interested. I think this is closer.
Well, I think that's how Denver wins. I don't think Denver wins a shootout. Like, that's the thing. Like, they got to stop there. So you like the under then in this game? If you like down, okay,
probably so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, boy. So you guys good now? You got it all out?
Yeah.
I will say that the Bills can't look ahead to Kansas City because next week they're going to play Baltimore, so it's not going to be KC. 2 weeks till KC.
Yeah, that's all right. They've got the bullseye. They've got it out there in the locker room. All right. I know we touched on this earlier in the show at the open here, but I want to get your definitive take here, Terrell, on this Rams-Vikings game. I know one of these games is going to go sideways. Typically, that is the nature. I'm really having a hard time finding which one, and I think it's gonna be mostly favorites here. We haven't had a wild card, only one wild card win in many years here. So the Bucs was the last one to really go through the entire gamut and get to the Super Bowl and win it. It doesn't happen all that often, and I feel like this year in particular, some of these wild card teams and these lesser teams are punching up. And I know you and I haven't talked about this. I've talked about it with Peralta, I've talked about it with Erickson. It feels like they're out of their weight class just a tad. And I know you're in on the Rams. I'm in on the Vikings because that defense. And I think Darnold got the ghosts out of his system in that very high pressurized situation in Detroit. And I think he'll bounce back here. But why do you think the Rams are the side to be on the money line?
Because this is what happens when I bet my fraudulent teams. They lose. And that's what happened with the Vikings. And I just have to remind myself constantly, the Vikings are fraudulent. Like, I said this all season that this is going to be a playoff. At this point, this is going to be a playoff team, and I'm probably just going to fade them in the first round of playoffs. Well, now the time is here for me to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams here because this Rams offense rested, healthy, everything good. This is exactly where Sean McVay wanted to be at the end of the season. Hey, we have all our guys here. our guys are healthy, I can put together a good game plan that can really, really attack Brian Flores. That is going to be the matchup. Brian Flores versus Sean McVay. That is the matchup of this game. I don't care what Sam Darnold has going on his side of the ball. If whoever wins the matchup between Sean McVay and Brian Flores is going to win the game, and I think it's going to be Sean McVay in this spot. I can see this Sam Darnold making mistakes with the football, turning the football over in this game, and I can also see this running the score up. And LA has been in shootouts where they've been able to come out with wins. So yeah, I really, really do like this Rams spot. Maybe a little tragic magic in there for them, but I think they're going to find a way and be able to get this done. And I like for the Sean McVay to be able to have yet another good playoff win and fading Kevin O'Connell again. Last time he was in the playoffs, he lost to Daniel Jones. Not a really good.
That's true. That's true.
Resume,
but learning experience as
there.
well. Gotta
now
learn to get better.
Now he's got Daniel Jones.
That's right. He showed. Now who's what? Yeah, that's right. Kevin O'Connell showed you, Terrell.
Can't beat him. Join him.
He's collecting the Infinity Gauntlet of ex-New York quarterbacks.
Let me add another.
Where's Zach Wilson? Can I get him next year? We're gonna add him to this.
He's in the playoffs where Aaron Rodgers is nowhere to be found.
He's gonna drop.
Yeah, Zach Wilson is in the playoffs.
To the gauntlet right there in the fist. All right, let's get to the Philadelphia Green Bay game. I'm looking for Green Bay to get a mud hole stomped in them. I'm telling you, I got this feeling that the Eagles are going to roll. People are like, well, I don't know. Jalen Hurts hasn't played in a couple weeks. Okay, that's fair. Saquon Barkley got a full rest. Jalen Hurts, I think, if pressed, probably could have played last week, but they were just being very careful, and they should be. And I think everybody's got rest in them. I think they're at home. I think this defense is for reals. And I think Green Bay is unfortunately limping to the finish line, especially with some of the injuries they've had on the defense and the offense. But Andrew Erickson, what's your best approach to this contest?
Yeah, I thought about taking the Packers with the points here, but I don't know. I'm not confident in either of these teams in this spot. And I guess the thing that I'm confident the most about is both teams want to run the football and play defense. So what does that mean for me? It means take the under in the game. 45.5 points. You look at the Eagles when they've played at home this year. These games have been trending towards the under. 1-7 towards the over at home. Games have averaged under 42 points per game in Philadelphia. Talking about how they both like to run the football. Eagles finished first pass rate over expectation, last in pass rate over expectation during the regular season. And the Packers offense led the NFL with nearly a 50% called run rate in the first half of games this season. The Packers want to go out and run the football, and we know that Saquon Barkley is the Eagles' number one option on their offense, especially with Jalen Hurts coming back. Is he going to be rusty? He hasn't played in over 3 weeks right now. He's missed 2 games. So does he come out flat? The Eagles' offense has traditionally been this year, as great as they've been, a flat offense in the first half of games, whereas the Packers have been much better scoring in the first halves of games. So I like the under overall in this game. This game, to me, feels such like a 23-20, 24-20 type of game. So that's going to get 43 or 44 points, which gets under the 45.5 point total here. I think also an interesting way to look at this, if you want to do like a same game teaser, I looked at Packers plus 10.5, under 50.5 points. That's minus 110. So if you think the Packers can at least keep it close and not lose by more than 10 points, I know, Joe, you may disagree with that, but this game's not going over 50 points.
No, I don't think it's going over 50 points, and I'm worried about we're very concerned at the very least about the Green Bay side of the team totals and how they keep up. So yeah, I'm with you about the under, and I think most of this, 46.5, 45.5. Yeah, I think a good 30 of that is going to be the Eagles. I'm just saying, that just feels like Green Bay's in for it. Philly's going to be ready to go, if you know what I mean, Philly people. You hear me. You know what I'm saying. Gonna get a hoagie and a Coke and go watch the Eagles. That's what you're gonna do. All right, let's get to Tampa and Washington. Next one up here. So this one I know a lot of people are in on as the possible upset. And I get why. Jaden Daniels has had some spectacular moments, especially in these big pressurized situations, especially when you count him out. You just can't, because he keeps making big play after big play. 12 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and in overtime this year. 12! That's incredible, especially for a rookie. But Terrell Furman Jr., what side of this game are you on?
I mean, why does he have to have 12 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and overtime? It's because they're constantly down in those situations. Like, why are you constantly down in these situations? And at one point, I mean, that little horseshoe that's stuck up your behind is going to come plopping right on out. And it might be in the biggest moment, which is in the playoffs. And I mean, this Tampa Bay team is playoff tested. They've been there numerous of times with different quarterbacks, different coaches, different systems, and they continuously get back and they continuously go in there and win a game. And so I'm looking at the last few games. Yes, they won 5 games to get into the playoffs, did the Commanders. They had to come back against New Orleans. They had to come back against the Eagles, who were down Jalen Hurts at that point. They had to come back against Michael Penix. They had to come back against whoever the Dallas Cowboys were trotting out there. Like that, if there was anybody that won and limped their way into the playoffs, it was the Washington Commanders. And whereas, yeah, Tampa Bay had a really, really down spot last time out, going up against New Orleans, but I think that they're locked in here for this game. There's no more, hey, we're trying to get Mike Evans this thing. We're trying to worry about incentives. Like all the focus is now on winning this game. They were able to get it done earlier this season. I think they can get it done here again. I'm back in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It does feel like this is a very trendy dog here, but I just don't feel good in anything I've seen from the Commanders in the last couple of games to say, hey, if you have a fourth quarter lead in the playoffs, you're going to 100% come back.
Yeah.
Or you're down fourth quarter in the playoffs, you're 100% going to come back.
Look, man, I've been talking about all year that Baker Mayfield's not getting enough of his due, enough flowers for how well he's played. They have had adversity on this roster. I know the division's a little weaker, so people will dismiss it a little bit, but hey, this was a playoff team last year. They beat the Eagles in the playoffs. They beat them in their own building there in Tampa. And Andrew, I think they can do it again. What do you think?
I'm on the Commanders here. I like the Commanders money line. I think that's the play I like in this game. Again, it's not my best bet because I think that the most comfortable way to win this game is to take the over. Because ultimately, talking about how good the Commanders have been in the fourth quarter, well, you know who's right up there with them in points scored in the fourth quarter? Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I think that this game is going to come down to a last possession. And this was brought to my attention from Steamed Ham on X about Mike Evans. Oh, you got your incentives. Great job against the Saints, who didn't have Marshawn Lattimore. Well, you know who's suiting up this week? Marshawn Lattimore for the Washington Commanders. So, Steamed Ham, shout out to you for giving me that. I think that's going to put Tampa Bay in a potential bind here. Yes, McMillan has been balling out, but Mike Evans is still their best wide receiver weapon. If he gets eliminated from this game, are we getting Baker Mayfield forcing the ball to guys like McMillan, Cade Otton, Sterling Shepard? Is that really the guys? Whereas you have Terry McLaurin against.
Has responded.
I mean, he has good familiarity with the Washington Commanders. I will say that. Very good familiarity with that team.
And McMillan stepped up though in this void in the last couple of weeks.
And Cade Otton is really good.
I don't think that there's a lot of I don't expect the Buccaneers secondary to stop Terry McLaurin. I mean, he's had one of his best. He has his best year.
No, I think the path is probably a close game, a big day for McLaurin. You know, and maybe this does get into a little bit of a shootout. And on top of that, probably an unders for Mike Evans. And I think everybody will bet the overs on him, despite the fact that it's high numbers, not just because of Lattimore, but also because, you know, like Mike Evans is not always the guy ripping off 100-yard games necessarily. That's not always his game. You know, he's that guy you like in the red zone. He's that guy who scores touchdowns. McMillan props, on the other hand, are smaller. I like them. We'll talk more about that on the prop show coming up soon here. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Watch that. Go ahead, T.
There's not 100% chance. I don't want to be, because people are going to come in the comments, hey, he's a Giants fan, he's just hating. There's not 100% chance that Marshawn Lattimore finishes this game.
Mike Evans has yet to finish a game against Marshawn Lattimore.
So there might not be there's a good chance that as we watch this game, we might not see Mike Evans or
if they both get ejected, it's a win for the Commanders, though.
I don't know, because then you got to put St. Juiced out there, and he sucks. He sucks. Like, anybody's cooking him, so I don't know.
I will get back to, I didn't really hit on why I like the over in this game. So again, I'm looking at just 9 of the Commanders' last 12 road games have gone over the total. When Washington hasn't allowed 20 points on defense, so they're 8-4 towards the under. When they allow at least 20 points at the beginning of last year, 18-4 towards the over. I mean, the Buccaneers are going to score 20 points. Like, I feel pretty confident about that happening. The Buccaneers' home games have gone over, averaging 51 points per game. I talked about the fourth quarter. Yes, maybe we have a 20-20 game heading into the fourth quarter, and then you just see these two quarterbacks just take over. And that's just why I don't feel confident with the spread, because I think it's going to come down to one of these quarterbacks making a play when it matters most in the fourth quarter. So I think you're going to be sweating it, Terrell, even if you end up being right here with the Buccaneers -3, but I'm going to feel good about taking the over in this game.
I'm in it for the sweat, man. I mean, sometimes those blowout wins, yeah, you feel good that your bet's going to hit, but like the sweat gets the dopamine going. Like that's the part. It gets the people going. That is true.
And my favorite trend when it comes to the over, and I mentioned this on the live stream, Joe, when you look at the Buccaneers, when they've played in games where they've either been a favorite by 4.5 points or less, or an underdog by 4.5 points or less, 8 games they've played with those types of spreads, 8-0 towards the over. So when the market has suggested, hey, this game is going to be close and back and forth, it's been exactly that, and it's been a shootout. So Sunday Night Football, get your popcorn ready. We're going to get points, and I'm looking to see which quarterback steps
Okay,
up
Lane Kiffin.
in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I do agree there will be points, and I do agree it's going to be, I think, close at the end one way or another. So the other thing we were talking about, too, is most of the time there's a game that goes sideways here. And, I always like to do an upset special here. Upset special this week is that there are no upsets. That's right.
This is so unbecoming of
The
you.
upset special is there are no upsets. All of the favorites.
Normally, I keep
win.
quiet with this,
I
but
know, but that's okay. You can bring the heat.
So
Chalk
no
week, baby.
dogs,
Let's
No
go.
dog. No dogs. There's no dog that can win.
I think there's dogs that can win. I think that there's dogs that can cover. But at the end of the day, do I think any of them are going to win outright? And I just don't think they are. And that's my take on this. Again, I liken it to a UFC or a boxing thing. I think some of these teams are punching out of their weight class. And some of these teams that are more experienced, I've had coaches that have been there, done that a little bit more. Now, the Rams are the ones a little bit more delicate. But again, with this imminent move potentially happening, I really don't like that for the Rams. I think that throws them off. When you all of a sudden now you're traveling, and more to that point too, let's be honest, a 14-2 team should not have to travel. Let me just put that out there. Like, I don't know about you guys, like 14-2, 14-3, like, should you be the teams that are traveling? Yeah, I get whatever. But I mean, this whole notion that just because you win your division with 10 wins or something like that you should host a home playoff game, I think is stupid. Like, win more games. That's what, especially for a weak division. You barely win it with 10 games.
If that was true, Joe,
they could have literally won one game and been at home.
Joe, if that was true, we never would have got the Beastquake game. So stop. Please.
Well, look, I think you should, at the end of the day, reseed is what I think.
7-9 Seahawks would not be happy with this analysis.
Whatever, but the upset special,
they won that game too.
They did.
No upsets. I know you're gonna be so. What do we do about this? Well, we take my favorites and we put them all together, and the ones that I feel the best about. Now, where's the variance? Maybe the Rams, maybe the Commanders. I think that's the biggest opportunity for variance. I'm gonna put my money with the coaches and the quarterbacks that I feel most confident in this first weekend. So give me the Chargers on the money line. Give me the Ravens on the money line. Give me the Buffalo Bills on the money line and the Eagles on the money line. You put them together, you get plus 233. So you put a couple units on that instead of trying to create too much variance, trying to throw in this or that, or what if this happens, because things will go sideways. The things I feel very confident on, those 4 teams are going to be moving on to week 2 and round 2 of the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. So I'd rather invest heavier in those than try to add more variance or try to get cute. Like the guys here sometimes get cute. I'm not getting cute.
This is the parlay we talked about on the Look Ahead show, right? The first 4 favorites.
And I am endorsing it. Full Joe Pisapia approves
would
this
be
message.
So glad at all the chalk that you have.
Let me tell you, man, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get that blackboard out. I'm going to shine it up real nice. I'm going to draw on all the chalk with all the dollar signs.
All my favorites.
My favorite favorites by Joe Pisapia. This is what I'm bringing here to the class this week in the first week of the wild card here in the NFL playoffs. But we love to hear from you. So drop your comments below. Tell us which games you're in on, who's going to be the big upset of the week, and why I'm wrong. I love to hear that. And of course, give us all of your picks. Drop them in there and ring the bell so that goes ding for notifications too. That way you don't miss our live stream, in-game live betting Saturday. Texans, Chargers, Bogman, Pisapia. Doesn't get much better than that, folks. So be with us for the in-game live experience. We want to hang out with you, watch the games together, and hopefully make some cash. That'll do for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Terrell Furman and Andrew Erickson, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.